The Pledge of Allegiance, please. I touched the apple. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic with liberty
for all. Thank you. And we will go to roll call.
Osborne.
Here.
Bentley.
Here.
Lund.
Here.
Euler.
Here.
Kushner.
There. Approval of minutes.
Move to approve.
Osborne.
Yes.
Sorry, Bentley.
Yes.
Lund.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Kushner.
We're moving to adopt the agenda. Pardon me?
You got
Change.
Section 8.1 will be moved till the next council meeting. What?
Enrico is out sick, and so he has worked really hard on this item and feels very passionate about it. And so I wanted to let him have the opportunity to present for adoption. So.
Okay, yeah.
Make a motion to approve as amended.
Osborne.
Yes.
Bentley.
Yes.
Lund.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes. I answered in my head. Is anybody here to represent the Native American Heritage Month? Come on up.
You're the author of it.
Pardon me?
She authored it, I'm just the president of the presiding.
Well-
chair.
They're both from Diversity and
Yeah.
Inclusion Commission.
Very new to the. Sir.
Thank you. Hello.
You want to be friends?
Okay. This proclamation is for Native American Heritage Month. Whereas every year our nation pauses to reflect on the profound ways the first Americans have shaped our country's character and culture. The first stewards of our environment, early voices for the values that define our nation and models of government for our founding fathers, Native Americans helped build the very fabric of America, and I'll get the words right. Whereas today, their spirit and many contributions continue to enrich our communities and strengthen our country, and we honor their legacy. And whereas, as we celebrate the rich traditions of the original people of what is now the United States, we cannot forget the long and unfortunate chapters of violence, discrimination, and deprivation they had to endure. And whereas, while we can't ignore these events or erase their consequences, we can work together to forge a brighter future. And whereas today, as members of our community and armed forces, Native Americans and indigenous peoples are working to carry forward their proud history. And whereas Thanksgiving and the month of November are an important time for the nation to renew a year-round commitment to honoring and strengthening the relationship between tribal nations in the United States. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Jim Kushner, Mayor, along with the City Council of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri, recognize the month of November as Native American Heritage Month. Thank you.
Who's for a photo? Oh, I don't know if you want to. Old military habits.
One on each side.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You want to?
One on each side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You're in the middle.
Mayor in the middle?
Yeah, Meredith.
Yeah.
There we go.
Would you like to hold it?
He thinks it's important. It's a sure thing. Okay. Next, we have a presentation from Retail Strategies, and they are online. And
Hey, everybody doing tonight?
We're good. We can hear you. Our
Perfect.
technology is working.
There we go. I like it when that works. All right, let me get my screen shared here.
So while Cam's getting his screen share going, just a reminder for city council and anybody who is in the audience this evening. Retail Strategies is our new retail recruitment group that we've been working with. We entered into a contract with them earlier this fall, and this is just a report out from what they call their BOG visit, which stands for Boots on the Ground. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Cam and Jack.
Thank you, Danielle. So my name is Cam South. I'm with Retail Strategies. I'm the portfolio director, which entitles I cover the state of Missouri. To my left here is Jack Blankenship. Everybody. He's our retail development recruiter. He's pretty much the man that does all the grunt work for us in the city on the ground. He does most of the recruiting. He does most of the talks with retailers, property owners, brokers, and real estate managers that cover that area or have sites or property in the city of Warrensburg. So further ado, I'm gonna try to get through this slideshow as quick as I possibly can, but make it efficient. So let's start here. If it can work for me, hopefully. There we go. Just a little quick overview. We're here to bring in new retail to the market, which in turn brings tax revenue, brings jobs and new quality of life and new business to the market. So we don't just bring in like banks and stuff like that. We try to make our focus more on what is needed for the market. We've identified multiple categories that we feel and see, and what the data has shown us that Warrensburg is missing. Again, our partnership extends to the city of Warrensburg, where we put Warrensburg in pretty much the spotlight throughout the nation, getting retail recruited to the market. Again, this is our leadership team here in office. Again, I'm Cam South, portfolio director. Jack Blankenship here to my left is retail development coordinator that handles Warrensburg.
Yeah, everybody, I'm sorry I didn't get to see you on the BOG. I had ACL surgery actually, but you'll be hearing a lot from me. And if I call one of you about a property, I'm gonna go ahead and apologize. It very may happen, but it's just great to see all y'all, and we'll get through this quick.
All right, so as most of you guys know, I'm sure you have a familiarity with how real estate and retail works. But I'm going to go
Sorry,
into.
I'm gonna interrupt you for just a quick minute. We're having a little bit of a lag in the PowerPoint presentation, so we're still on the first slide. So give us just a second so I can make sure the governing body can see what you're talking about.
All right.
Sorry about that. No, I need more. Do you think advancing it? Yeah, it's advancing on here. It's not advancing on our technology up there.
Let me see if I can stop the share.
One else, would you like it?
Yes. Oh, let's try this one more time. This way. All right, can you guys see
Now
that?
Yeah.
Let me do a little quick check here to see if that's working for you.
Yep, I think we're good to go now. Thank you.
All right, so back where I was. So again, you guys are pretty familiar with how retail and real estate work. So we're not here to teach you all the ins and outs of it, but we just want to give you a pretty broad and general idea of how our recruitment efforts correlate with commercial real estate and our relationships that we attain throughout the process. This here is a standpoint that retailers and tenant rep brokers look at the market. From a national standpoint, we don't look at the market from city boundaries. We look at it from data points or sites. We look at it from a 5-mile radius, 10-mile radius, 15-mile radius, or 5-minute drive times, 10-minute drive times, and so on. let me just chip in real quick. Is the slide still working for you guys?
No, we're lagging again. I do think that the council members do have it pulled up, that Jody put it in their packet, so they do have it on their screens in front of them. So just keep going.
Tell us what slide they're on.
Just tell them what slide you're on. I think that would be helpful.
I think I'm over on just moved to the mobile data collection.
Mobile data collection.
Okay.
Thanks, Cam.
Absolutely. I'll let you know when I move.
30.
One tool in our toolbox that we use is mobile data selection. It gives us the ability to kind of track and see where the consumer is shopping at and what those numbers produce at those locations. Everything from total customers per year, tourist attraction. We can look at cross or co-shopping habits between different retailers. For example, if a person shops at Walmart, they may go shop somewhere else in the market. They may go to TJ Maxx, they may go somewhere else. So we always account for that because that helps us gauge the co-tenancy and the different retailers that would make sense to bring to the market. If you scoot over one more, I'm on the customized trade area slide now. The customized trade area is built solely and completely custom on the Warrensburg market. Again, this kind of reflects back to where I said retailers don't look at city limits. Retailers look at custom trade areas to find that 7% of their core demographic and their core consumer and what they're buying and what they're not buying and what are their trends, along with demographic data to back them up. If you pop over one more slide, I'm on the custom trade area. It kind of shows the statistics. Total for 2021 estimates, we got 55,098 in the trade area with a median household income of $57,067. Your male average age is 36, female's average age is 37. On to the next slide. I'm still on the custom trade area, but this one here goes over employment. You're looking at $44,824 for your average employed salary, with the highest being blue collar workers, followed up by white collar workers and military at 24%. All right, gap analysis. We're gonna go over to the total market supply. So right now, Warrensburg supplies 437,452,032 in total market supply in the custom trade area. Total market demand, you're looking at $923,216,259. And the opportunity gap, this is where we want to focus on and see what opportunities we can bring in to minimize the opportunity gap or the leakage from the community. And right now there's $485,764,227. If we go look and see the categories that have the highest gap on the consumer demand and supply slide, the biggest category right now is food and beverage at $69,453,707, followed up by health and personal care at $40,812,000, and then we get into clothing at $26,773,000, or the target categories that we're going after. Now, with this rounding off, with this data that we run primitive to come to the market, when we get to the market, we call it our boots on the ground, or short terms, we call it evolve. Boots on the ground, we come to the community, we want to look for the sites that make sense for a broker or a real estate professional or a retailer to set up shop and bring in a new retailer to the market or new business. With that, we're looking at, we're getting the size of the site, we're getting the coordinates to send to them, property description, the parcel numbers, ownership of the site. We're looking at the topography of the market, if it's in a flood zone, or if it's in an area of town that's not a growth area, or if it's in a very new development area part of town. We want to get that well, we can't get that if we're not in the market. So we come every year to the market to visit and see if there's any changes. We come and again assess the year, looking for new opportunities or looking for that second gen space that in today's world of 2022 post COVID is the new and hot trend for retailers. If you go to a current real estate overview, this here just kind of shows you what's there in the market, the current retailers and the shared space that they're in. It's the one that has all the current retailers' names and logos on. All right, next page, or if you can go to the next slide, is the focus opportunity for recruitment. This here is limited to some sites. There's some stuff we can't put on here solely because of confidentiality agreements we have signed right now with retailers. So we just want to put a high level and broad view of currently where our interest is laying in the market. There's some stuff that's, again, there's stuff on here that's not marked just solely for NDA reasons that we are pursuing until we get further notice that we can release that information. Again, we're looking for that home run real estate. We're looking for signage, visibility, parking, access, co-tenancy, and traffic patterns. And especially for those smaller retailers, when it comes to like QSRs, think of the QSRs like McDonald's or Burger King, traffic patterns matter, even matters depending on what side of the road they're on. So for example, Dunkin' Donuts wants to be on the AM side of the road because most of their consumer stops at their store in the morning to grab coffee, donuts, and little breakfast sandwiches, versus where Burger King is more of an evening or PM side of the road retailer that has their highest traffic during either lunch or doing dinner hours. So that's kind of the end of the slideshow right here. I cut it up very drastically, trying to save some time. So I'm gonna go over a few things that I saw in the market. We're pinpointing right now two really big national clothing tenants. I can't release their name, but they are kind of what you see in most communities now with the co-tenancy. We're looking at Westview Plaza right now for that. We have some issues currently going on with the retailers on certain things they need there at the site, but we're working through them. We have a couple of national QSRs, food users, again, that you see in bigger markets and even neighboring markets that's not in Warrensburg, that are interested, that we're currently prospecting and talking with on sites, and make sure we can get them put in front of their real estate committee, really going into 2023 here, first quarter. Hopefully we should hear something back here in the next month or so with those two. I'm really excited for them. It's one of my favorite fast food restaurants that we're going after. So with that, there's other personal and beauty tenants that we're going after as well. That's either interested in some space at Hawthorne Plaza, depending on the size. There's not much of a backfill opportunity there, but there's a couple tenants we think that will make sense to be in the market. So we're making sure we're getting as much information from them on the sites. We actually have really good relationships to most of those tenant brokers that cover the area. So they're letting us lead the way and kind of making the path for them to come into the market fairly quickly. So right now we're working on we're working a deal right now with some land just north of the highway right now for a tenant, a national tenant that we think would be a good fit for the market. They're more of a destination tenant here, just depending on pricing and a few other things that we have to kind of get over the hurdles with. They have a lot of analytics they need to run premature to actually send an LOI over. So with that, I want to kind of close this out here a little, here now. If there's any questions that you have for Jack and I, we can take those at this time.
You guys have any questions for Cam and Jack? And for Cam?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Great. We say our population is about 20,000, but we also know that with the college kids and the Air Force Base, we're probably undercounted by about 15,000 people as far as population. Does that reflect in your numbers?
It does reflect in our numbers, and that's one thing I always want to double check when I was in the market. I talked with Danielle and Barbara if they can give me some statistics from the school, just so I can get those enrollment numbers. So sometimes, especially with this previous census, where there was a lot of hiccups, we want to make sure those numbers were correct and that we can get Warrensburg, their demographics to the T. So yes, those numbers are included within the custom trade area as well as the military base, since it stretches over east of town as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Are there any other questions I can address?
I don't think so. We really appreciate your time. We're very thankful to be working with Cam and Jack, and I know we've had a couple, like they said, we've got a couple bites that are out there, but we can't. Cam and Jack are under non-disclosure agreements, and so we haven't been able to share with staff, but we continue to be really excited and very hopeful, and I know that we're starting to see some movement on some properties, even in our own community. So we're thank Cam and Jack for representing us at ICSC recently, and we look forward to all the emails and phone calls that we get from these two. So
Absolutely. And one more thing to chime in, Jack and I will be going to ICSC Red River here in January and representing Warrensburg there again this year. So we're pretty happy and really excited in front of these retailers to look at their 2023 expansion plans.
all right, thank you guys.
Bye.
You have anything else to add to that, or just, you're good?
Just really for information purposes only.
Awesome. Glad to hear that they're making progress. Second reading. Correct. Second reading of an ordinance. 7.1, second reading of an ordinance concerning a minor plat application for 808 and 812 East Young Street and a CUP for 812 East Young Street. I'm sorry. An ordinance concerning a minor plat application for 808 and 812 East Young Street and a conditional use permit application for 812 East Young Street in the city of Warrensburg, Missouri.
Council has heard a couple reports on this over the last 2 months. 2 weeks ago, you held a first reading on this item. This is a substitute ordinance to the original two that had previously been on the agenda in October. The substitute ordinance combines both actions of one, approving the plat, and two, approving the conditional use permit. So it is written in the affirmative of a motion to approve, would approve both actions simultaneously. A no vote would deny both of them simultaneously. Staff is happy to answer any questions.
When were they issued their permit for the body shop,
Their building permit,
their occupancy permit?
I'll have to look that up.
Was it in the last few days or weeks?
I honestly don't know.
Oh, okay.
I can try to look that up.
when we previously looked, there was never an occupancy permit granted for that, for a body shop. And I just had saw them in there today, and so, but I thought you were going to approve it after tonight, you know, whenever we move forward with it, and so I just was curious.
Well, they're currently up, I mean, the current conditional use permit would allow them to use the site today.
I thought they needed the occupancy permit with the, because I'd never seen that final plat, you know, the approved final plat.
The final plat has not been approved. That is what the first part of tonight's ordinance
Well,
accomplishes.
I mean, for the previous one either. The previous one hadn't been approved either. When I looked. Because that's what I assume that's what they would be operating under now.
There is,
I know you had a pending one.
high caliber machine and fabrication had a
Yep,
business license that was issued.
for the back building, and then the front building, there wasn't ever any body shop, auto body. I just, in the ordinance, it is stated, you know, that they had operated a facility. We just saw on the map that they showed us that they're still operating at the other location. I just, that's how I had understood it, and then I saw it today, and so I didn't know if something had changed in the last week or so, or no.
I'm not gonna be able to definitively answer that question.
Yeah,
I was out last week. If they did a business license inspection, I'm not able to pull it up fast enough to answer that question.
understand. Thank you, Bart.
Are you still looking, Barb, or?
This one was a little bit squirrely, you know, just a lot of changes and stuff, and last time was a little bit confusing to try and understand what it was, and so that's why I voted to not pass it to second reading that night, so we could all take a look at it. Me personally, sharing my opinion, I'm okay with it, you know, I voted for yes for one, no for the other, but now we're combining them, so you gotta choose yes or no kind of deal. And so as I'm looking at it, I'm okay with it. I would like to express with you guys, see if you guys would be open to changing one thing, just because it seems like a little bit of misinformation has been shared by the applicant, maybe not deliberately, but they're had not operated before, and maybe in there now a day ahead of schedule, which I think, you know, it should be able to pass, but knowing that it was a little bit preemptive possibly, if we could remove one of the items that's under the staff recommendations that just says staff be granted the authority to approve the final site plan as part of the building permit process, just because some of those things may not have been followed to a T, and we want to make sure that everything is out in the open and up and up. If we remove that, they would follow the formal process that would give me greater confidence to know that it's been vetted through a public process and would able to go through that. If you guys would be open with that, we still pass everything and moves forward, and everything happens. It's just more out in the open as we move forward. It would delay it a couple weeks.
Is that usually what we do with other applicants with the same thing, or do we just?
Well, that's how it's written into the ordinance. They're pushing it forward faster, which is fine, and we commonly do that.
I don't know if we normally let the staff have that final say on. That, yeah, I want to stay consistent is what I was saying.
More so we do.
So,
I would agree with that.
Okay.
However, this one's a little bit squirrely. And most of them, I would recommend that we do that just to save us time to see it go through. But in this case, I would vote yes for it as written with that minor change. If you guys are open to it, just in general discussion, if so, I think we have to, amend it and then approve it, and not a big deal. We can still get it done tonight, but I just wanted to share my thoughts and why I've been a little bit apprehensive on this one. It is unique and
Either
different.
way, it was fine with me, but I just want to kind of stay consistent too. I don't want to, if this isn't something that we would do to other applicants, I don't know if we could just highlight the fact that we want transparency from staff. Update.
Well, I don't think
further
it's staff. I
updates.
think,
Yeah.
I feel that that is misrepresented in the ordinance as written, based on the information that was given to staff.
As
Yeah,
far
I
as
don't think
actually-
there's any fault of staff. I believe it's just inadvertent information.
As far as the plat's concerned, staff, we have been doing that on and off for quite a while. It's always up to us to make that decision to whether or not we let them do that or not, correct, Barb?
Yes, if you're going to grant, that's tied to the conditional use permit. Staff routinely asks for that authority. Because without that authority granted to us in the ordinance, it means that any change in the future will have to come back through the process for a new conditional use permit. They would come back to amend the conditional use permit.
I thought it would come as just the final plat. The preliminary is in the conditional use now, and we'd approve that. They just have the formality of we get to see the final to stamp, is how I understood it.
So
I think you're talking about the difference between a site plan.
Yeah.
Connected to a building permit and then approval of the plat, which in this case is a minor.
Yeah, the plat, I think we can rock with it. Don't hold it up on the
So the
site
conditional use
plan.
permit is. They submit a preliminary site plan with their application. And then
The final site
if
plan,
there is.
you see that
If
before
there
you.
is a need for a final site plan, in that there's a change, right? The preliminary, something had to change. If nothing changes. They could print the same thing twice. It wouldn't necessarily be a final if there's no changes. So
Okay,
with this one, we reviewed the preliminary, we had these two. We had the requirement for the parking areas to be field inspected. And so that will cause us to need a revised site plan. We'll call that the final site plan. The staff has asked for authority to approve that. If there is if we have the authority to approve the site plan, the final site plan, then as the site changes in the future, if it would have very minor changes, staff would continue to approve that. If it would be substantive change, it will come back before the body. If we have zero authority, any and every change will have to come back to the body.
perpetually moving forward, or just for the first occupancy permit
For this land use of a body shop
at that address?
at that address.
But you still would be able to make the determination as far as what is significant or not.
No, if this language is struck from this ordinance tonight, I have no ability to make any approvals of a site plan for this land use at this location.
But if once they've submitted through this process, that takes a couple weeks or whatever, once that was approved, they'd be good to operate. It's just if they wanted to make any changes, they would have to come forward.
So since you don't have a site plan in front of you this evening that shows exactly where these trees are gonna be, and we said we would field inspect that. They'll need to bring in a final, if this language is struck from the ordinance, they'll need to bring in a site plan to staff to show where those trees are gonna be. And then we will need to bring it back to this body, to planning and zoning, and to city council for hearings for you to determine that those trees are in acceptable locations. Staff will have no power.
Is that the only change?
That's the only change I'm aware of based on the language in this ordinance. That's all staff called out that didn't get addressed on the preliminary.
And parking wouldn't have to change or fence or anything like that. That's all minor stuff.
That stuff was shown on the preliminary and was acceptable as shown. Staff did not need changes to those items.
Thoughts?
I personally feel comfortable with staff making the final decision. I mean, I don't want to delay the process. I mean, if they're gonna staff, I mean, I think they're aware, staff is now aware of your concerns, and so they'll keep a magnifying glass on making sure they're doing everything on the up and up, so you won't have any issues with the applicant. That's what I mean. No, I think.
I would move forward to vote on this ordinance as written.
As written. I don't want to delay. I want there to be transparency in the process, but I don't want to create a headache that forever moving forward, something has to be brought forward for trees. I was hoping that the staff could be able to make the determination on what is something that has to be actually drawn on the site plan per se, not minor things like that.
Okay, I believe we have a motion from Mr. Euler. Correct? Correct.
Osborne,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes,
Kushner.
Yes. Okay, now we're skipping 8.1. I'm bound determined to not make a mistake this week. Number 9.1. Resolution approving the 2022 ADA transition plan update. Presented by Mr. Penrose.
Good evening, Mayor Kushner and council. I am here to provide an update to our ADA transition plan. All 150 plus pages be in your packet. The ADA law requires us to update this every 3 years. And just a little background. Starting in the summer of 2021, I inspected all city-owned properties, which include 13 buildings, 9 parks, and 7 parking lots, with the idea of re-inspecting any issues that we called out in the last update, as well as looking for any new issues, accessibility issues that may come up. Our plan also includes a citywide survey of the city's intersections where we track accessibility improvements made to sidewalks and sidewalk ramps through the Public Works Curb and Sidewalk Program and the Street Overlay Program. In addition to our facilities, we also evaluate the city's programs and services that we make available to the public. As part of that evaluation, we provide training to all of our staff who work directly with the public on a daily basis. This year, we conducted 5 training sessions for frontline staff that included the cemetery, City Hall, the community center, community development, and the police department. In these sessions, employees were trained on accessibility awareness issues, such as grievance procedures and handling requests for program and policy modifications. I think Danielle's going to talk a little bit about the change to the curb and sidewalk program. That I've had discussions with Enrico, and we've talked about that. With the change in that plan, we'll continue to track those accessibility improvements in our right of way throughout our sidewalk system. So we'll continue to track that. We'll see what that looks like when he's got that ready. We'll fold that into our plan. That's an overview of what we'll do, and then we'll start for the next 3 years.
Any big hiccups or anything or differences this year, Brett?
Not a lot of major updates, I would say, in this one. I think we had a lot more in the last update, and that was on the Parks and Rec side. They made a lot of changes, but they had a lot of smaller changes to make. So as we go, we're getting to some of those bigger changes, bigger dollars. And most of those are in Parks and Rec. Just because of all the properties that they have. And the
Okay.
parks. So.
Awesome.
Any questions?
May I append? Brett and I had a conference call with our Civics Plus website for its accessibility, and it was enlightening. There is some work to be done on our website, but that will require budgets to be added in. So a little strategic planning in the
I
future.
appreciate you mentioning that, and that was very interesting. We got into a little bit of that probably 2 cycles ago with IT. That's an area for accessibility that I don't know a lot about, so I went down to the IT department. And but yeah, working with these folks is going to be great. Got a lot of great information, but going forward, we'll look at that and talk to Danielle about how much money we do. But again, it's very valuable information.
You say accessibility on the website. Is this voice or?
Yeah.
That's a good question. There's all kinds of things that I learned.
Yeah.
It can be flashing, voice, all of that we've got to, you can have symbols on there that may need to be spelled out, those kinds of things. So there's a whole area just on the website. But we will look at that and get into that more. And as a matter of fact, once I do that, I want to go into this plan and kind of revamp that too, to mirror that, because it's not as good right now. It's going to be better. So, but it's just the more you learn, right? So, any other questions?
Anybody?
Thank you.
Okay. Need a motion, please?
Motion to approve?
Osborne,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes. Okay, next. By Miss Jody. A resolution authorizing submission of a grant application for the Missouri Secretary of State Local Records Preservation Grant FY 24 by the Council of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri. You're not usually on that side.
Good evening again, Mayor and City Council. I'm bringing before you a resolution to approve the submission of a grant application through the Missouri Secretary of State Local Records Preservation Grant. This is a grant that they offer annually. It is a competitive process. The documents and records that I would like to submit on the application would be our permanent records. It would be a document imaging grant. I would like to focus on our ordinances, resolutions, minutes, and cemetery records as part of this process. The grant is a no match $15,000 grant. They do require reimbursable grant funds, so we took that into consideration. We built that into the FY 23 budget as a one-time expense, but it is a no match grant. And I would, of course, the economic benefit would be to preserve and the permanent long-term records of historical value in digital and microfilm standards for statutory compliance, transparency of public records, and public accessibility. Are there any questions I may answer?
Is this using a third-party provider to do the scanning and?
And there was some question, we had talked about this probably during budget workshops, I believe, if I remember correctly, and we had hoped to use a local vendor to be able to help us with this. I checked with the field archivist, though, from the Secretary of State. who ran through the application, my draft applications, and she had mentioned it has to be a commercial vendor. So I won't be able to use like Rise, for instance, some folks over there. So for this purpose. Thank you. Any other question?
Nope, I think it's a good thing.
Did you say this was a reimbursable grant, so we have to spend the money and then they would pay us back?
Exactly.
So, but we've already budgeted for
Yes.
that, okay.
Yes.
Right.
It's in the budget as one-time expense.
Now, does this catch us up and then will it be necessary to continue to do this?
Yes.
But it makes the job a lot easier. Is that what
Yes.
I'm hearing?
It will give us an excellent base. It will actually complement a records management plan, which will be very soon in front of you for discussion and hopefully action. As a matter of fact, the next resolution, I can elaborate on that further in the next resolution that I have in front of you for electronic records.
Okay.
Move to approve.
You gotta run back through it. You gotta stay there.
That's what you're gonna do from there.
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
A resolution authorizing grant application. Or a resolution authorizing submission of a grant application for the Missouri Secretary of State Local Records Preservation Electronic Records Initiative FY24 by the Council of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri.
Thank you again for your consideration of this resolution. I spoke with the field archivist regarding this grant in particular. This is a pilot program for the Secretary of State. They are reaching out. They've had this in front of municipalities for 2 years now. Again, it is very competitive. It's designed to assist municipalities in the acquisition of specific hardware and software to manage their electronic records through the records life cycle. So the city obviously produces records at an extremely fast rate. Paper records are waning away. Our electronic and PDF records are in fast motion. Some of the records that we need to keep are long-term, and some are historical records, fiscal records, and administrative. At present, we store our records on our servers. Our servers have limited capacities. We don't have full text search functions. So we're limited, and we also have limited security on our servers. So what I propose on our application would be to purchase software. It's the broad scope of it is called Enterprise Content Management System software. This would enable us to have a cloud-based platform. We would be able to import our records into a secure digital repository. The ECM system would provide an audit trail, security settings, and record storage using TIFF format industry standard for document integrity. As you know, PDFs are editable. Indexing by metadata and optical character recognition, or OCR, will provide full text index searches, keyword searches, and preset options to search for document creation dates, record series retention schedules, and destruction dates. The repository eventually will be, we're looking at an add-on public portal because we would like more transparency for our citizens as well. So once our repository becomes populated, then we can offer this to our public through our website. So that is the main focus. The fiscal impact would be, it's a $30,000 no match required grant. It is also reimbursable. The monies have been budgeted in the FY23 budget as a one-time expense. There is a 5-year commitment. So if we are awarded this, this grant opportunity, we would have to commit to operating the system for 5 years under the condition of the grant. I estimate that at approximately $7,200 annually. And of course, it would help us with our statutory compliance with records management. It would make us more efficient as we process records requests. And with the public portal, that is actually the primary function that the Secretary of State is looking for. So that would be one of our goals.
The records that'll populate that, this is kind of for both of you. The stuff that we already have stored on servers would populate into the new program, thereby freeing up room there, or would we back up to our stuff?
So he's pointing at you, but yes,
I'm
yes,
pointing
and
both of you.
yes, and yes. So under the records management plan, the broad stroke at this point would be in each department, there is a deputy records custodian. There is somebody managing records right now in each department. And what we want to offer is a secure repository for that department to use for their records. Now, the things that are on the server right now would be gone through in that department. And you're either going to store those documents, you're going to make them inactive and store them using your metadata to pull them up every year. So that way, you know, when it's time for destruction of those documents. So that's the whole point of the storage, is to make it cloud-based and then start going through our records that are in our servers currently.
Single source of truth. Single source of truth.
Exactly. And thereby, if what I envision is each department having access to this records management plan and this ECM software, thereby those records custodians can search the entire system for records, as opposed to, you know, having to ask 3 or 4 different departments to look for these records. So.
Okay.
So it's a phase. It's in connection with a records management plan. We're going to get to where we want to be.
Something we've
It will
desperately
just
needed
take
for
time.
years.
To get
Trust
there.
me, I know. Okay,
So I think your big impact would be your 5-year commitment.
but that's just the price of doing business nowadays, especially with electronics and cloud storage and security. So. Okay, motion.
Motion to approve.
Osborne,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
9.4, Chief Jennings, a resolution authorizing city manager to apply for a fire protection grant offered by the Missouri Department of Public Safety and committing up to $20,000 as matching funds. Sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This resolution is authorizing an application for a grant opportunity offered through the Department of Public Safety, the ARPA State Local Fiscal Recovery Funds. The fire grant portion has a max award opportunity of $20,000, requires 50% match. We're looking to expand our current project this year that we have for firefighter PPE to satisfy the match requirements, and add an additional 20,000 to that to purchase additional sets of structural PPE, and then our initial phase of violent response PPE, ballistic vest, helmets, stuff that we're needing. So this grant, if awarded, would help us and meet those goals in a little bit quicker timeline than we'd anticipated. So I'd be happy to.
Just the grant that they just put out a couple months ago or a month ago about.
Not quite a month. The state has graciously given us 18 working days to read the document, and seek council board approval. So we are running through it pretty quick.
Yeah, I thought it was that soon. Okay, thank you. Questions? Anybody else? Okay, motion.
Move to approve resolution for grant application.
Osborne,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes. And for the, no, I'll say it. Acting Chief Munsterman.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. This is a letter, resolution reference to applying for the 50/50 ARPA grant through Peace Officer Grant through the state of Missouri. It's basically the same type of grant that the fire department's going for. I'm requesting with the purchase of 3 new patrol cars with not replacing vehicles, adding them to the fleet with the going towards the tax of next year, planning for the future of officers. We'll be adding those patrol cars and we'll be needing 3 more radios plus repeaters in reference to that. That came to fruition this middle of last summer, whenever we were looking at going forward on the tax. So with planning for that, I saw that we're gonna be short those 3 radios and 3 more repeaters. So I would think that will best suit the city for what we're applying this grant towards. And it does meet that with Motorola. So with the strategic plan to move forward, we'll need the 50/50 match grant for growth and development to fulfill the goals, providing equal service to the community by upfitting and adding those patrol vehicles. The police department, the state would pick up the 20,000 and the city will need to match $26,722.12 to outfit them correctly. That's my letter resolution of why we're looking at doing that. So,
And you have the same 18 days?
yes, same time frame. Actually been working on the grant and just need the permission to move forward with it.
Okay. And to be efficient, anybody have questions?
We will also be using that, the extra money, having budgeted for, that 26,722 will come out of reserves through the city.
Okay. And to be official, I need to read a resolution to authorize the Warrensburg Police Department to apply for 50/50 ARPA Peace Officer Grant to the state of Missouri. Motions.
Motion to approve.
Osborne,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
I doubt it, but appearances to the council not listed. Fellow indicates no. Ain't nobody online, okay? Huh?
It's online, no hand raised.
Okay. Maybe that's next time. Miscellaneous matters from the mayor and or city council. Other than the normal great job everybody's been doing, I just want to, with the holidays and all the extra events that are coming up, each department does a whole lot more, and just want to say thank you to each and all. Also, we as a letter of record, we met with the city manager and gave her evaluation, and things are going great and moving forward at a great pace, and we'll continue that way. Anybody else up here? Nothing. Okay. Director of Finance.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Your finance director's report includes all the revenue and expenses that were recorded for the month of October. I can say that the month of October come out very well, and so far November is on this new track, so we're hoping to keep that. The investment report shows invested monies that we're working with the city. The last set of investments that we did earlier this month was at 4.98% for a 6-month period of time. And so as that pushes that 5% mark, it allows us to earn up to 3% more money than what the bank guarantees us with our current contract with the bank, because it's guaranteed at 2%. Based on a minimum amount in the bank account. So we will invest that money to maintain cash flow and be able to earn that additional 3% going forward. So we may have less money on the actual cash deposits, but there'll be more money on the investment deposits. So in turn, it'll be more money in total for investment earnings. Our caution to the wind is the GO money, because any of you all that have participated in general obligation bonds or bonds of any kind, with that money proceeds is invested greater than what we are having to pay. So for example, if we're earning 5% money on that $17 million and we're only paying 3%, we have to pay the difference back in what they call an arbitrage rebate amount that goes back into the banking system. So need to spend that money down. And I know that Public Works Director and Manager Doolin is working with that too. So I'll answer any questions with the Finance Director's report that you may have. The bit of good news with the Arts Commission, they are tackling their first fundraiser, if you will. And so they have put together a silent auction to do as part of Dickens this weekend. And so there are several items that have been included that they've been donated, and we'll have a silent auction in an effort to raise some money to help pay for future arts and maintenance of arts and to sustain, our arts program throughout the city. So that's a good thing.
Yep.
And I'm excited that they're doing that, and they've managed to piggyback in with some other artists and to get these items donated to us to raise this. So bit of good news.
Marcel, I just have a quick question, and maybe you can't answer tonight, but how do we verify the hotel bed tax? Is there a way that do we ever audit that, or do we just take what the reports come in?
We take what the reports come in, but they're not always real good and timely about even submitting those reports. So we've had to reach out to some of our hotels and ask, it's like, we've not received the proceeds for the taxes that you've collected on your, I would have to read that specifically to know if we could potentially ask for their records of reservations fulfilled, to know if there's an audit process similar to the sales tax, because that's solely between the hotel and us, and where the state sales tax, so the sales tax that they collect is presented through the state.
Right.
And so there's an audit opportunity more on the state side for the sales tax than there is with that hotel tax, where it's just from the hotel to the city directly.
Yeah, maybe in the future you could come back to us and explain how we can verify. And is there a penalty if they are late, or?
There is a penalty. We've not enforced that penalty, because we don't necessarily know that there's a need, if we see that they're running blatantly, late, then, that is something that we can definitely do. We have that opportunity.
Okay.
And a lot of times the penalty is not, we're eating the penalty up in the staff dollars
Right.
that are used to make the phone calls or send the letters or, do the actual physical visits. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. Anything else?
And to add to that, Marcy's about ready to explode back there to add something. Are you?
Marcy, a lot of times is our go-to person. She's got a good rapport with all of the hotel managers. So if we have some struggles, and it's her funding source, so it's in her best interest as director of the Visitors Bureau. So. Any other question?
Anything else?
Yeah.
Okay. City manager and staff reports.
We're a little short on our reports that were included in the packet with the quick turnaround, so I'm hoping that we have a few things to share this evening. Do you have anything?
Is this where we sing now, Andy?
Oh.
One thing I do want to bring up, I don't know if many of you on the council was around Officer Ronnie Katz. I haven't shared this with you as well. Officer Ronnie Katz worked for the Warrensburg PD for 17 years. He retired from the PD and went to work for the sheriff's office, I believe at 55, when he lost his wife due to medical issues approximately 2 or 3 days ago. Her funeral is December 3rd, Saturday, and it's at the First Baptist Church. So visitation will be from 1 p.m. and funeral at 2 p.m. So Ronnie Katz was here for 17 years. He's a good officer. So
Yep.
just want to
That's
share
fine.
that. So
Just saw him a couple days ago.
thank you.
That's too bad. Okay. You're next. What? Who's next?
I actually have something.
She's got something. She always has something.
Okay, good morning, Mayor and council
Morning.
members.
Okay.
Oh, good morning. It's been a long day. Okay, so bear with me. All right, so we've mentioned before that this weekend is going to be really, really busy in the burg. And I want to mention some of the activities that we have going on. The holiday parade is Friday night. This Friday night at 6 o'clock. Lineup is at the multi, a lot of action, a lot of fun down at the courthouse. Following the parade, we will have the lighting ceremony and visits with Santa, and the WCVB hosts the after events. So the visits with Santa and the letters to Santa, kiddos come, they bring their letters or they'll write letters. That we host that, but that wouldn't be made possible without the support from our awesome public works crew. They have built a mailbox. They're getting a bench. They're beyond helping us with that. So we really, really want to let them know how much we appreciate their support. Following the parade, 9 o'clock Saturday morning, we're back at it. Father Christmas arrives on the Amtrak. At 9 o'clock, Center Stage will be performing some of their scenes from the Nutcracker. And they will be having their Nutcracker, Center Stage will have their Nutcracker performances on the 3rd and 4th. And that's at Hendricks Hall. And it is quite a performance. It's very professional. We have a lot of family and friends that come in to watch those little ones perform. And even I get choked up every year because it's amazing what those kiddos can do. And those are kiddos that we have playing at our parks and going to our schools, and they're just incredible. All right, so then at 10 o'clock, Dickens starts on Saturday from 10 to 3. There are artisans all around, and I talked to the Main Street, and they are going to have their schedule and map out Wednesday. So keep an eye out on Facebook. Of course, for Visit Warrensburg, we will make sure we get that shared. And I mentioned that Center Stage will be concluding their performances on Saturday and Sunday. And next weekend is UCM graduation, and we are full. So we're very, very excited to have those families and friends come back for those graduation ceremonies. So lots going on. And the bid opening for 205 North Holden is Wednesday at 10 o'clock. You will, you'll be like, wait a minute, I thought that was, we did move that because we had a lot of contractors reach out. Project Manager Graves, Beyond Patient, with us, worked with us and to be able to make sure that we had more recipients and that the information was correct. We did extend that 2 weeks with the holiday. And so we're looking forward to opening that up on Wednesday morning. Good news.
That's on the 7th, correct?
The 7th is the WCVB Visitor Center Committee meeting. And that will be when we will present the bids that were submitted on November 30th. And then the committee will take a recommendation to the entire WCVB board on the 8th at the December board meeting.
Okay.
Which are all Zoom. So you can find the Zoom link on our agenda.
Marcy, I've got a question, maybe after the first year. Could we have a discussion maybe about Airbnbs and B&Bs in town about collecting a fee off of that? We seem to have a lot of new ones.
We do that. We have.
How many do we have now roughly?
We were over 50 last time I looked at Airbnb, and there's several short-term rentals. So you talk Airbnb, VRBOs, a lot of them. It is a discussion that a lot of communities are having. As Marcella mentioned, it is a tax that is paid to the city of Warrensburg, but the WCVB would most definitely would want to be part of that conversation and support any efforts that the city would like to do. And I've served on a panel with Missouri Travel Alliance and Missouri Association of Convention and Visitors Bureau about the challenges that different communities are facing and trying to come with, there is no one standard solution for each community. Each community is different. And the way that the lodging tax, the ordinance was written, way the ballot language was written. But there are things that we can most definitely talk about now.
So I'm thinking maybe after the first year, we have a discussion about this, because we know that Airbnb has some software that can just collect that tax automatically. And then I wonder we talked about from a safety standpoint, does the fire department, police department, do they know where the B&Bs are in town? And do they ever inspect them for fire alarms and smoke detectors? And we'll have a discussion in the future.
You're absolutely right. There will be a lot of people at the table. And it'll be a good conversation. It'll be good for us to have that conversation.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, I just would like to point out, I pretty much duplicated my report from 2 weeks ago. I wanted to highlight that the 2023 Legislative Conference for Missouri Municipal League will be coming up in February. They will start registering in December for that. That is an opportunity to meet with other legislators, other municipalities, and your legislators at the state capitol in an informal environment. And it's very informational. So it'd be one night in Jeff City. Need to let me know if you're interested to attend, because the hotel fills up fast. So, and then the second thing is the notice of public hearing declaration of candidacy is out, has been out. This is the second week that it's ran in the journal. I put it on Facebook again today. And signups begin December 6th. They go through December, I believe it's 27th. Yes, and they will end. So it's a very quick turnaround. So just put that 2 positions available and just want to get that out there.
Anything else?
I would note that the city did receive the grant agreement from the State Historic Preservation Office, and so we have begun working on the RFP to hire the consultant to do the preservation plan. So that work that your Historic Preservation Commission has been working on for a little over 2 years on that grant. There were many delays at the state level, has finally started, and we are underway with that project.
Cool.
Chris, 3 weeks on the job. Do you have an update for him?
Well, I'll take the opportunity, yes.
Yes.
Very, very happy to be here. I will say that I've been around the block for a while in Parks and Recreation. And with this city, it's been so very accommodating staff. I really appreciate the opportunity to meet with the city manager, as well as technology, who has helped me out so very much, and I'll continue to ask. And finance and HR and everybody. It's I think we have a really good city. And I have had the opportunity to meet with park board members, doing more than individually. Public Works is so very helpful right now in regards to what we're doing with the pool, meeting with the pool manager. There has been contractors on site. And so it's moving forward. And I'm just very happy to be here. And I think that it's gonna continue to look up. So I just wanted to give that report.
Good.
Piggyback a little bit off what Chris shared. I did get a text earlier today from Enrico. We do not have a commitment date for the Hawthorne Park contractor to install the port in place. They have been pressing them for at least a placeholder on the schedule. And the indoor pool should be open the first week of January, assuming nothing else comes up with the pumps that would slow things down. So that is your update on those 2 projects.
Good news.
Yeah,
The
I
pool.
mean, that's all knock on wood, right?
Yeah, of course.
I think in closing, the last thing that I would just share is I'm hoping that our police and fire departments and our city clerk's department will be more successful in their bids for money from the state and the American Rescue Plan Act funds. I know, think we've got 2 really good applications that we've put forward. I know it was a short turnaround, but very much hoping for their success. Saw that we had to put the brakes on our project for the community revitalization because our numbers were 30 days too old for them, which is disappointing. The last thing that I just want to say, I appreciate your kind words. I appreciate the feedback that we had the opportunity to talk about during my evaluation last week. Thank you all for that feedback. Thank you for the opportunity to continue serving the city of Warrensburg. And I would like to thank the city of Warrensburg employees. We do have a great staff. We have a great team, and it truly is their commitment and dedication to this community that allows us as a management team to accomplish all the things that we want to accomplish. So thank you to all of them as well.
I'm almost there. Anything else? Okay, then we'll adjourn. And yes, I didn't skip one this week. They're so proud of you.
So proud of you.